You ever notice how people of excellence have one thing in common? They didn't master everything at once. They mastered the fundamentals over and over again. The elite never abandoned the fundamentals. They doubled down on them. That's why Allergic to Average is going back to the basics. Our OG classic tees, the ones that started this movement, are back on pre-sale. Because when you master the basics, everything else levels up. Pre-sale is live now. Go get your gear. Boom, we're here. We're live for another Tune In Tuesday. Welcome. And I'm excited that you are a part of this. You've joined us again here at the headquarters in the studio. Shout out to my boy Q, getting it right, keeping it tight, even with the light here. And yeah, if you didn't catch that little promotion there at the beginning, man, just so you know, and I'll probably shout this out again at the very end, but we have went into another pre-sale, finally, the first drop for this year in 2026, and we have brought the classics back. So the 8A classics, the ones that we started the Allergic to Average movement with, they have just been one of those favorites, the people's favorites, to just be able to wear really anywhere and everywhere, to be able to feel comfortable, to be able to show off who you are in the Allergic to Average movement. So we have 7 of those, 7 options of those right now on pre-sale. Now, if you buy 5 or more, it takes them from $25, drops them down to $20. And we also have our Harmonia oversized tees. We have, for a lot of you, it's 3 new options. So check that out. Keep in mind, keep an eye out on our website. Go check that out when you get a chance. And so we've seen a lot of love already in that. And so I just wanted to give you a reminder on what that is and what's going down right now. So go get you some gear. It's on the website right now. And let us know if you have any questions. And so I wanted to hop in talking about this idea and really this concept that so much of we've heard in cause and effect, right? And cause and effect is really something that we understand and we know, but some people know it as, karma. Some people know it in this effect of realizing that who you are and the things that you do, and we could equate those to being good things or bad things, but how this actually does affect us all. And how do we get out of just cause and effect? How do we shift into causing an effect, right? And that's what the Allergic to Average individuals, that's what we do, and that's our ability, our permission. I feel like by our creator, by design, that's what we've been given, is this ability to continue to grow into that. And so I want to start out and just kind of laying out some ideas and just really kind of walking you through what does this look like and what are some, like, what should be fundamental steps in continuing to grow through this. Really bring some thought-provoking ideas, right? Some concepts. And so I want to start with this. So everything that we do, it affects someone, okay? Everything that we think, it touches something, right? Nothing about us is actually isolated. And we got to realize that a lot of us, we think it does, though. We think it's just us. It just affects us. It doesn't have an effect on anybody else. And so most people live their life feeling like it's just completely separate from everything and everybody else, right? So I want to say that again, all right? So everything that we do affects someone. Everything that we think touches something. Nothing about us is in isolation, right? Even if we think it does. And yet most of us live like we're separated. Like we're separated from others, we're separated from situations, we're separate from thought. And so with Allergic to Average, when we talk about this idea of what is the average and what makes, average exist in our life, what are we really at war with when we're talking about average? And so to be allergic to average or to fall in this category of continuing to live a life in average, it has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with your giftings. It has nothing to do with how smart you are, right? How funny you are, how good looking you are. Because when we live in average, it's really us allowing ourselves to stay in this unconscious living, right? Because average it's a reaction. Average is just a reaction. Average is the default, right? We all find ourselves in kind of when we get out into the real world, when we find ourselves living on our own, making our own decisions more and more. Average is that default of where we're found and where we've been programmed, or what we've been taught, what our beliefs are. And so average is moving through life without ever questioning what impact we're having on ourselves or on others. Okay, that's what average is. Average is thinking you don't have, there's no effect that you can actually put on yourself, and you can't impact yourself enough to change, or that you have no impact on others, right? That's what the average thinks. That's what the average believes. And so we got to realize that when you're unconscious, you don't live at cause. Like when you just leave things into default, when you don't actually get intentional, which I'll talk a little bit more about the thoughts that you're producing, which I'll experiment in bringing you some more examples of this. But when you're not actually aware of your unconscious thoughts and what you believe and what you think, the emotions that you're sending, that you're feeling, that you're experiencing, and the effect it has on others, you don't live at cause, right? You're constantly, like the average person is, you're living at effect of what the world's doing, effect at what he said or she said, or how they made you feel, or effect on how the room was when you showed up, or effect of what's happening all around you, versus making a conscious decision, right? And so we have to get back to realizing, again, what is this idea of cause and effect? How's it affecting us? How does it influence us? And really, how do we continue to build and partner with that? And so living at cause, right? Or I'm sorry, living at effect means life is happening to you. Okay, I'll say that again. Living at effect, so you're just taking on what you're getting, what you're experiencing. Living at effect, that means that life is constantly happening to you. But when we shift into living at cause, means life is moving through you. It's you understanding more and more that you get to dictate, you get to decide, you get to choose how you're going to partner with this dance called life, right? And how you're not living anymore from just this effect of, oh, things are happening to me, life is happening to me, but really you shift into, at cause, life happening through you, life happening for you, life happening with you, right? And so when you live at effect, your emotions are dictated by circumstances. And so I see this all the time. I've had an upbringing from, the side of town I grew up on, the schools I went to, the places I've worked. And so much of it is individuals. And for a long time, I would fit in that category, because we are not taught, we're not trained any different. And this is the constant example that we see around us happening all the time, right? We live at effect because we think, again, that's our default. That's what we believe. That's kind of where we are left off, because that's what so many other people choose and believe. But when you live at effect, your emotions are always going to be dictated by the circumstances happening to you, right? And those circumstances are always going to be there. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough brilliance. I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough resource. Because that's what the evidence of your circumstances are constantly coming back and reminding you of, giving you the evidence of that. But when you live at cause, right? And so much of this I'll bring back into, the A to A core 4, when we talk about create, love, the grind, and honor. That creator piece, that piece of the core 4 is you going back to cause, not living from effect, but shifting into how to cause an effect in the life that you live, in the experience that you give. And so when you live at cause, your emotions are guided by your intention, right? You deciding, you making a decision. And so you're living at cause, and you're no longer dictated by the circumstances, but you are now deciding and being a creator, stepping into your creator role, and how you're designing your mindset, right? How you're deciding and dictating your day is going to go. And even when it doesn't play out exactly how you have decided, that belief in you deciding to be from cause always allows us to be gravitated back towards that decision we're making. that things aren't so bad, right? Even when the circumstances hit, your belief to be better, to decide better, is enough. It is more than enough to keep you on the path of not falling back into effect, not falling back into default, not falling back into life is happening to me, right? So it's a process, but let me continue, right? And so intention are, when you are, again, living at cause and your emotions are guided by your intention, your intentions matter, right? Your decisions matter because your intentions carry energy. And this is the part that, more and more of us are figuring this out and understanding it to a deeper level. But this unseen reality that actually does exist, that actually influences, before we experience it in this three-dimensional reality, the world that we see and that we take on with our five senses, there's other things that are taking place that are actually dictating and producing an experience, right? And so that the energy, the vibration of who you are, your emotions, these things are all being carried. There's an energy through that. And so Marianne Williamson, I love her work. I love her books. I love her studies. A lot of what she does is break down something called A Course in Miracles. And so she has this powerful thought, right? That all minds are joined. Okay? All minds, as human beings, right? As humanity, all minds are actually joined. And so that's why, just being able to, if we look at COVID and we look at the panic, right? We not only seen the evidence of things happening and so much of the chaos that was taking place and the scarcity and the fear, but we felt it. You could feel it in your community. You could feel it in your home. You could feel what was happening throughout the world around you because all minds are joined, meaning there is no such thing, okay? I want to submit this to you. There is no such thing as a private thought. Now, I want to look into that a little bit deeper. Now, I'm not saying that what you think people are hearing, right? People know exactly what you're thinking. But this idea that all minds are joined takes us back to your thoughts are actually producing, it's carrying energy, it's carrying a frequency, it's carrying an expression that others can feel, okay? Now, what you think doesn't just stay in your head. Now, maybe the actual words or the actual thought of that, like maybe, okay, that stays there, but I want to take it deeper, right? And because what you think, it doesn't actually just stay in your head. It's expressed and felt in other ways. And what you feel doesn't just stay in your body, right? It moves, it transmits, it influences to others, right? So this is why, like, if you think about it, and I've been in a lot of different rooms, I've been in a lot of different scenarios, from the guy just catching the meeting to the guy leading the meeting. I've been on the stage, the one giving the speech. I've been in the room whenever there's a situation that needs addressing. I've been in, like you get what I'm saying. And a lot of these different rooms, it's this idea that, so many people understand what is being felt or the energy even before a word is said. So that means, like, most of this doesn't happen consciously. It's not something that we see or we're thinking about, but unconsciously, the brilliance of our brain, right, brings us back. You don't just walk into a room thinking, let me project my anxiety and all this onto everybody else. We don't think that. But if you walk in a room and you're carrying a lot of anxiety or worry, right? You do. People can sense that. People can feel that, right? It's like working for a manager or a supervisor or some type of leader that always hits the panic button. And maybe they don't necessarily express that with their words that they're panicking, but the rest of the team can feel that. And it sends the rest of the team into panic, right? So you may not walk into the room or the situation thinking it, but you do. That's what you're carrying. That's the energy. That's the frequency, your thoughts, right? The energy that you actually have. Our thoughts, remember this, our thoughts carry emotions, right? And our emotions carry energy. And then in that energy affects people before words ever do. Your energy is the most powerful. It's not even about what you say, right? It's more about your level of being, where you are to the core of you. Is it at peace or is it in pain? Is it in scarcity and fear, or is it in love and patience? And that comes from a deeper meaning than just what you're saying, right? You ever been in that conversation or had some kind of talk with somebody or whatever it may be, and what they're saying is fine, but the sense of what you're getting, maybe you don't trust them, or maybe you feel like they're kind of lying, and you don't know if you can actually trust that, but that's just this sense that you're getting. That's just kind of what you're feeling, right? It's because these things are real, right? The energy that energy that we're carrying, that's deeper than the words that we're expressing, has an effect on people before words ever do. Okay, and so there's like this hidden curriculum within our life that we can go back to and we can see. And it's so much of this is, man, I've been able to see it even more so as being a father of two little beautiful girls. And we're always teaching and showing and demonstrating something, because we're creators to the core. We are creators. So everything that we demonstrate, everything that we do is teaching something. First and foremost, it should be teaching us something. But the more that it teaches us, and the more that it allows us to see what are the lessons I'm learning, what is the things that I'm seeing, it allows us to teach others and take that into the world. And so much of when I think about me being a dad and what I say and what I speak, right, what I instill with my words, more of what is being caught and taught to my girls, to my daughters, is more about how I'm demonstrating, right? How I'm regulating stress, right? Because they don't understand the level of stress that I'm in as an entrepreneur, as an adult, as a provider, they don't comprehend that. But they can comprehend when I'm stressed, when I'm upset, when I'm pissed off. So like when I'm teaching them more, and they're learning more from how I'm learning how to regulate my stress, how I'm learning how to be calm, be at peace, right? If you're with a partner, if you're with a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, right? Your partner doesn't feel how safe or unsafe you are by what you're saying or doing. It really comes from the inner world of you. Like my wife, it's not even so much, yes, I'm a good talker, I'm a good speaker. I have a way with being able to articulate and choose and really lay out an idea with words, but she doesn't feel safe and at peace by just what I speak to her. That actually comes from a deeper level of my being, of who I really am, right? To actually believe and know, and to actually depend on something higher than myself, more intelligent than myself, which I call God, Holy Spirit, right? And so that comes from the inner workings, the inner infrastructure of who I am. And this is played out in the relationships that I have, the friendships I have, right? All across the world. Like, it's not just something you can speak, I can speak. It actually has to come from something deeper to actually support and actually give people the benefit, the truth, the evidence that he means what he says, right? It can't just be words. The average thinks it's just the way you can say something, right? The lies you can say, the way you can manipulate, that only gets you so far. It doesn't get you very far. So this life that we're living, it has a hidden curriculum. It's always teaching us something, right? And who you are as an individual, who you are demonstrating yourself to be, is teaching much louder than who you say, than what you say, or who you even say you are, right? So who you are is teaching louder than what you say. I want you to remember that. And so I always bring it back, and what I love to speak on is just like really this love versus fear, okay? It's this understanding that there are only two states that really exist for us to choose from. Everything that we do, right, and I'll get into that, but it's love or fear. It really comes back to the core of that. And I think within what religion has tried to teach us, it's tried to understand, and a lot of us have gotten that idea, got a pretty good examples of it. But to really understand that love is the only real actual thing that exists. Anything outside of that is really just an illusion. And that's really so much of where fear comes into. So our ability to get back to love, to get back to the truth, right? If you're somebody that believes in God or believes in, a specific type of religion, to the core, these all go back to understanding that God is love. So when I talk about love, I'm talking about this higher way of being, this higher intelligence, this overarching sustainable force that is really meant to be and is the most powerful force, the most powerful thing known to us. And so outside of that thing, the one thing that combats and really competes and puts so much resistance in our life is this other side, which is fear, right? Because fear actually moves us out of this belief that love is big enough, that love is powerful enough, that maybe we should even love ourselves or show that. Like that's where we get the ego mind. That's when your ego steps in and tries to protect you and tries to tell you like, oh, if you don't do this, they're going to run over you, or they're going to belittle you, or they're going to embarrass you, or if you personally don't show up in this way, you're not good enough. People won't see. That's what we've been programmed and taught through our upbringing, through living in this world that we live in. That love is not enough, and that you don't deserve it, and that maybe even God, it doesn't actually love you, right? But to get back to the basics, like every thought, every reaction, every behavior comes from one of those two places: love or fear. Love or fear. Every thought, every reaction, every behavior, every single day that we are utilizing or not, it comes from one of those two places: love or fear. Okay? But when you operate, here's the difference. When you operate from fear, you're transmitting a contraction. It contracts, right? I used to work for a lot of people before, as far as a supervisor, boss. Like, fear was their overarching approach. It was you trying to be better. You need to be better. You're not good enough. You da-da-da-da, right? But that contracts the workplace. That contracts you, right? But when you operate from love, you transmit expansion, right? You open up and allow expansion to be a part of life, to be a part of the process, to be a part of the situation. And that's why, like, even in psychology and realizing that so much of how the human brain works, like, kids don't learn the best by being told, don't do this, don't do that, don't. Because that's a fear approach, and that transmutes this contraction of like, I'm afraid to mess up. I'm afraid to, maybe you work for somebody like that. Maybe you've been in a relationship like that. I'm afraid to screw it up, right? And that contracts you, that makes you smaller. It makes you play small. But when you operate and you move into love, right? When you move more into this ability to accept and to see and to give people permission to be, and that you have the ability to take on the things that are going to go wrong, the things that aren't going to work out right. You allow expansion to be a part of it. You allow people to make mistakes because you know, hey, we're big enough. We got it. We can correct that. We can fix that. And so we have to get back to realizing that, you know, between where we're operating from and what we're deciding to do comes from one of these two places, right? And so our world, the dominating force, the dominating energy, this is what a lot of businesses feed off of. This is what the social media algorithms feed off of. This is why, the news exists in what it is because it's dominated by fear, and it contracts us. And the more that it's easier to control a society, it's easier to control people when they're afraid, right? When they're contracted and they're not allowed to feel like this expansion of what life is or the possibilities that exist for themselves or for the world. And so it starts to put a whole shift in your mind. It starts to get you to see things differently when you start going back to the ability to create from cause. And so I'll say a real quick example, man. It was, we look into, what you see on the news. It shouldn't be a reminder. Fear tells you this is how bad the world is getting. This is how ugly things are getting for everybody around here. But love says, man, this is a reminder of how much better life should be, this is how much better we could be. Look at all these things happening. Yes, we have work to do. But we have the ability to change these things, right? Fear tells you that's impossible. Fear tells you, who are you to think that we're too small? That's a contracting thought. That's a limiting one. That's a false one, by the way. Love allows you to look at these things going on, the negativity happening, and saying, man, we can do better. We have the ability. We have this potential to actually do something different about this. Look at where we're all dropping the ball, right? And so this is why intention matters, right? As I kind of come back to that, not because you're trying to be perfect, right? Your intentions aren't going to allow you to be perfect, but because you're choosing to be responsible for the cause that you're creating. As being allergic to the average, you are being intentional, you are deciding, and you are taking ownership, responsibility for the cause, for what it is that you are creating, what it is that you are dictating and deciding on, and how you are creating that. So like when you wake up, if you've heard the last few lives I've talked about in deciding and dictating and kind of being still, that's because like when you wake up and you choose calm, you create calm, right? That might be through prayer. That might just be through a nice relaxing shower and allowing yourself to not be on social media, not be in the chaos. But when you choose calm, when you wake up and you tap into calm, you start to create calm. When you choose grace, right? When you go to cause, at this level of cause, when you choose grace, then you create safety for others, for yourself, right? When you choose love, you give permission for others to do the same. You're showing them a different model. You're showing them a different way. You're giving them a different guide, unlike what we see so rampantly around us with everything that we got going. So, to kind of bring things back, look, being allergic to average is understanding that this means refusing to live unconsciously. Oh, because so and so did this, or because like, okay, that's the circumstances. That's what you see around you. Oh, the government's doing this, right now, a hot and current topic. ICE is, and so everybody's left choosing by the cause, right? Or I'm sorry, by the effect of what's going on. Okay, that's living unconsciously. That's letting circumstances dictate who you are. Or, this side or that side is doing this, or these people. Every time that we have to decide on a side of where we stand with people or where we don't, like, a house divided will not stand, right? How do we find oneness? How do we find the core, what people want and what people need, and to the actually get down to like the nitty gritty of it? What is it that we all as human beings desire, right? And it's love. It's love. What are those attributes? What are those characteristics? What is it that love causes us? We're only going to find it in this thing called love. And so as we get back to understanding that, right, and refusing to live unconsciously by the effects of others, in the effect of others, by the circumstances, by what the government's saying, by what your social media algorithms feeding you, we get out of that. That's what the average person's doing. We have enough of that, right? And it means saying, hey, I won't let my unexamined thoughts run my life, right? Those old beliefs that you carry from your past traumas, from your past rejections to the past pain. We all have that. But you start to realize you have the ability to refuse, hey, those thoughts, those unexamined ones that I'm not even aware of, but those aren't running my life no more. That's where the average person lives. That's where the average person is at right now, right? I won't let my fear be the cause that I'm creating. We all carry fears. We all carry certain things that, again, pains and rejections from the past, things that didn't work out for us, things that we've experienced in our life. But when you let that fear constantly be what you're creating from, that's constantly what you're creating, and you're bringing as an effect into other people's lives. And we're seeing that play out so much in our world today. Okay, I'm choosing to live in an awakened state. That's where we have to come back to, right? Knowing that who you are is shaping the room, who you are to the core. And this is all that inner work, that inner footwork of the inner infrastructure in your thought and your mind, your beliefs. All these things are actually bigger than the person that people see and they experience when you show up in the room. You're much bigger on the inside, right, than what you appear to be and what you think you are on the outside. Like we're much bigger from when we're living from the inside of who we are, our thoughts and our beliefs, and the energy and the power and the vibration that we actually carry. That's what makes the difference in our world, right? So I'll close on this question as I'm coming to my 30-minute gap here. So the question isn't, is my life affecting others? You know, am I an isolated? Like, that shouldn't be your question anymore. It's actually, what am I causing without realizing it? What are you causing without realizing it? And this is why there's so many debates on, even social media or in just like the workplace, because a lot of times people are they're causing things and they're creating things without even realizing it because of their beliefs, their fear, their projections, right? And so at the moment you become intentional about the cause, you become a source of healing, you become a source of clarity, and you become a source of love. You become the source, right? And that's how you change your life. That's how my life has been changed, right? That's why people go to church. Like, we're looking for, how do we change, our life? How do we allow ourselves to make the world a better place? This is it. This is what we're talking about right here, right? How do you change rooms before you step into them? How do you change rooms before a word's ever said and when you walk into them? This is it. This is how you change the world, quietly, powerfully, but from the inside out, okay? And the average person, most people think that everything on this outside experience that we're seeing is those all need to be changed. Those all need to be transitioned and situated in a different way that makes me feel, that makes me look, that makes me BS, right? That's total BS. How you change your world, right? How you change your world is actually how you can carry the ability to change this outside world. But that starts quietly. That starts powerfully in the inner infrastructure, right? And that happens from the inside, and we're able to give that to this world on the outside. So that's the conversation right there. That's the perspective. And so, anyways, I appreciate you guys. And man, I was excited to be able to share this today because there's so much depth. There's so much truth behind this. And so I hope you felt that. I hope you were able to experience that in what I was able to just lay out for you guys and give you just some value in this. And so, again, a reminder, just as I'm closing here, we have our pre-sale live. The 8A Classics, the OGs are back. So get you some there. Take advantage of the pre-sale savings right now, the deals you can get from that. We also have our oversized Harmonia tee. Got some graphics on that. Oversized is 100%, man. They're comfy. They're incredible. So check those out. Allergic to avg.com. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, definitely let me know. Reach out if you need me. And just know I love you. I believe in you. And I will see you on the next one. Peace, guys. I'm out.